Hello and welcome to Talking Golf with Gary. This week, the dynamic Gary will introduce you to all kinds of topics pertinent to this past week of golf. He'll give you some tidbits of information as what's coming up and take you on a tour around the world for all of the golfing highlights. Sit back and enjoy Talking Golf with Gary.
And hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Golf with Gary. I don't even have the number in front of me, so I can't even tell you what it is. I think it's 264, no matter. Yeah, 264, I think that's what it is. Hope everybody had a great week out there. You know, I did. And really, lots of action this week and a lot to cover. So let's get to it right away because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the world this week, the golf world this week. And Phil Mickelson is the big story of the week. He won Monday morning in a hail and darkness delayed AT&T Pro-Am at Pebble Beach, completing a round which he ran down leader Paul Casey with 6 birdies in the first 14 holes. Mickelson and Casey played the final 2 holes Monday morning as the sun peeked over the horizon, with Mickelson finishing at 19 under to win by 3 strokes. Casey had pulled the plug on the round Sunday night on the 16th green, saying it was too dark to see. Mickelson was grousing to the cameras. "I can see fine," he muttered during the CBS broadcast. "I'd prefer to finish the round." But they did suspend the round and started up today, and after Casey rolled in a short par putt on the 16th green upon resumption of play, both men parred the par 3 17th to afford Mickelson an easy stroll up one of the most scenic fairways in golf. A birdie on the 18th gave him a bogey-free 7 under 65 in the final round and sealed a 3-shot victory. Phil later admitted to CBS that Paul Casey did the right thing by pulling the plug on the round. So he realized that it was the best all around. Afterwards, he says, "I get into a little bubble and can't blame him. He was hot. He wanted to continue playing and didn't want to give in. But he did, and it worked out great anyway as he takes home the AT&T Pro-Am title. It's the 5th AT&T title for Mickelson, his first since 2012, and it ties him with Mark O'Meara for the most in tournament history. It's also the 44th win of his tour career, as the 48-year-old has now added 2 wins since enduring a nearly 5-year victory drought following the 2013 Open. Casey closed with a birdie for a 1 under 71 to finish alone at second after starting the final round with a 3-shot lead. Casey's 16 under total left him 3 behind Mickelson and 1 shot ahead of Scott Stallings, who completed a final round 66 before sunset on Sunday. Both Mickelson and Casey are expected to make the short trip down the California coast to L.A. for this week's Genesis Open, where tournament host Tiger Woods headlines a field that will also include 7 of the top 10 players in the world. So congratulations go out to Phil Mickelson on a great week. And you know, the one major he's never won is the U.S. Open, and guess where that's going to be? Yes, it's going to be at Pebble Beach, but it'll be a completely different golf course than the one they've seen. The rough will be longer. They'll shorten some of the they'll close in some of the fairways. Tee boxes will be slightly different, but you know, who knows? He's got a little mojo there, so maybe it'll work for him. Talking about mojo, how about the Champions Tour? Bernhard Langer won again. This guy is just incredible. He won the Oasis Championship playing 10 minutes from his house. Langer closed with a 7 under 65 on Sunday at the Old Course at Broken Sound in Boca Raton for a 5-stroke victory. The 61-year-old German star birdied 5 of the first 7 holes in a bogey-free round. Longa finished at 19 under for his 39th victory on the 15 over tour. He also won the 2010 event and finished second last year. Marco Dawson was second after a 69. Bob Estes shot a 68 to finish third at 13 under. David Toms was another stroke back after shooting a 70. Scott McCarron shot a 67. Gene Sowers a 69. Woody Austin a 70, and they were at 11 under. And Fred Couples shot a 70, and Ken Tanagawa also shot a 70, followed at 10 under. Retief Goosen, who we had on the show last week and is going to be inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in June, tied for 24th at 6 under in his senior debut. Gary Nicholas, also making his first tour start, had a 73 to tie for 51st at 1 over. The 50-year-old son of Jack Nicklaus played on a sponsor exemption. Jack was there to see his son play, and Jack said it was more nerve-wracking watching his son play than being on the course and playing himself. So and he had the lead, I think, in the first day of play. He was very close to the lead. So maybe he'll turn it over and win on the Champions Tour. All right, on the European Tour. Now remember, the European Tour and the LPGA had a combined event. And David Law produced an incredible finish to overhaul Wade Ormsby and win his first European Tour title at the ISPS Honda Vic Open. The Scotsman was 3 shots back as he stood on the 16th tee at 13th Beach Golf Club, but he made a birdie and then produced a stunning second to 8 feet on the par 5 last to set up an eagle. That put him in a share of the lead with Ormsby at 18 under, and when the home favorite made a double bogey on the 17th, he needed an eagle of his own to get into a playoff. But the 38-year-old gave himself a putt from the fringe for a 3, but could only make a birdie, and Challenge Tour graduate Law had a one-shot victory in just his 18th European Tour appearance. Brad Kennedy finished at 17 under alongside countryman Ormsby, 1 shot clear of South Africa's Justin Harding. And on the women's side, Celine Boutier carded a 72 to claim a 2-shot victory. The French woman finished 8 under to hold off local favorites Sarah Kemp and Sue O and England's Charlotte Thomas. It was Boutier's first LPGA Tour victory. She did it in style on a friendlier final day on the links. The opportunity presented when overnight leader Kim Kaufman of the United States fell away badly. Boutier started out 2 shots from the lead, but quickly had the reins after Kaufman's 3-wood seemed second to the par 5 fifth, skated off the back of the green under a small tree. The American took a double bogey and was on her way to a 78 that left her tied for 8th and regretting the way she finished. As for Boutier, she put together a steady, even par 72 that was enough for a 2-shot win. Kemp, Sue O, and Englishwoman Charlotte Thomas tied for 2nd at 6 under par. So, interesting event. I don't know if you saw it at all, but pretty interesting with both the men and the women playing on the same course at the same time. One group men and the next group was women going out, and they did not play head to head. They didn't play against each other. They played against each gender, but they didn't play against the women. Didn't play against the men didn't play against the women. But an interesting event, and I wonder if we'll see more of that. The closest thing we've seen in the States was a couple of years ago when both the women and the men played at Pinehurst in North Carolina in the U.S. Open. The men played, and I think a week later the women's had the Women's Open on the same course. So that's the closest we've seen here in the States, I believe. If anybody knows different, let me know. You can call the hotline number, which is right down there if you see right below. And but I don't think we've seen anything like that in the States. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get something like that sometime soon. I think it would be a pretty neat thing to see. But who knows? All right. Got a terrific guest. Got another World Golf Hall of Fame inductee joining me today. 2 weeks in a row with the Hall of Fame, guys. Come on, folks. You got to tell your friends about the show. We get great guests on here, and we want to get the word out to everybody that Talking Golf with Gary is the best place to go to listen to golf news and to hear the very best in interviews in the world of golf. All right. I'll be back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
I had the great opportunity to interview one of the inductees into the 2019 World Golf Hall of Fame, Dennis Walters. Dennis is a disabled golfer and puts on an exhibition show. He's been doing it for 40 some odd years. He's been an inspiration to millions of people around the planet. And here is that interview with Mr. Walters. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Not a problem. I'm going to do this and go practice.
Okay, sounds good. How's the weather in Florida?
Perfect.
Ah, that's great. It's not so good up here. I'm in New York, so.
Really? That's too bad.
Yeah, you know how that is. You're a New Jersey boy.
Yeah, well, I just got in the Jersey Golf Hall of Fame.
Among many others.
Yeah, I'm on a roll.
Yeah. So let's start out by talking about many years ago, young boy in New Jersey. How did you get started in the game of golf?
Well, when I was about 8 years old, I was on my way to school, and I saw the golf course, and I kind of wanted to investigate. And so I went over there, and before I even got to the golf course, I liked it because I like animals. And when I went through I had to walk through the woods about 150 yards, and I saw a deer, squirrels, heard the birds sing. And I said, wow, I like this already. And then I popped out of the woods, and I was on the 18th tee, and there was a guy teeing off there, and he hit the ball about 250 yards, and I'm going, wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, if you're 8 years old, how far can you throw a baseball or kick a football? And so I went home and told my dad that I had seen that, and he asked me if I wanted to go, and he took me up there the next day, and I had golf in my DNA ever since.
And you had a good college, a good junior career, and went to college. Even played on the South African tour for a year, and then everything changed. Do you mind talking about that a little bit?
No, I was. My big dream was always to play successfully on the PGA Tour, and as you pointed out, I was going in that direction. I got to the finals at Q School. I was going to try again when I had this accident, and it's been 45 years, and I still absolutely don't know exactly what happened, but I was going out to meet my friend, my lifelong friend Ralph Terry, who used to pitch for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I was going down a steep hill, and I was on these little stones. It wasn't paved, and I had to turn to the right a little bit. My cart started sliding, and that was about all I remember. And I was on the ground. I wasn't hurt, didn't seem to be hurt, but I couldn't get up. and when I landed, I dislocated a vertebrae, which pinched my spinal cord, so I'm paralyzed from the waist down, and not looking really too good for almost anything at that point. So that was about. I was in the hospital for 4 months and rehab for 4 months, and that was about as low as I could ever get.
I could imagine. And you had a doctor that was a little blunt with you. He told you that you would never walk again and never play golf again, and that kind of inspired you.
Well, I don't know if it inspired you, but it really made me mad because I'm thinking, okay, if I can't, I didn't know, but all I know is this. When he said you're not walking anymore, I started crying, but then he said, you'll never. I said, what about playing golf? Forget it, he says. And that made me mad. It really did make me mad because I didn't know how it was possible, but I was thinking, I love golf so much. I don't want to live my life without having golf in it. I just have to figure out a way that I could do it. And since everyone told me I'd never be able to play golf because I couldn't stand up, I figured they're right. So I started hitting golf balls sitting down.
And you've done so for 45 years successfully.
Well, I've been on tour for 42 years. I always wanted to go on tour. This is not exactly the tour I had in mind originally. But nevertheless, my real goal was to make it through this world on my golf skill, which I did. So my original dream of making a success on the PGA Tour did not come true. But my goal of making my way through this world on my golf skill came true. The other thing is, and I'm a perfect example of this, and I say this in my show, if you have a dream and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Because the solution is very simple. Get a new dream. That's exactly what I did.
Now, I've read somewhere that after the accident, one of your first thoughts was that you were showing some concern about a golf club.
Well, yeah, I was interested. I had this beautiful Tony Penna McGregor driver. I've only seen one other one like it, and this was the greatest driver ever. And so I was really, I loved all my golf clubs, and I was really concerned about getting my golf clubs back, and which I did. But I thought I was going to get better. I didn't know I was. This was permanent. I figured I'll be sitting around for a couple weeks or whatever, and I'll be ready to go. But that's not how it turned out. And it's when you think of the journey I've been on in this world, it's. If my life was a movie, you'd say they made it up. It couldn't happen. How could I go from a hospital bed 45 years ago to the World Golf Hall of Fame? It's not even. I mean, it's not even plausible for someone who's paralyzed from the waist down to do that.
And of course, the people that you've met along the way. You've done exhibitions with some of the greatest games that ever played, the names that have played the game of golf.
That's true. Ben Hogan watched me hit golf balls. Sam Snead told me dirty jokes. And Byron Nelson once stood so close to me, I had to ask him to take a step back. And I've done things with Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player. I've done 30 clinics with Tiger Woods. In fact, Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player were the ones that called me and said, congratulations, Dennis. We're calling to let you know you've just been elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame. And they were my advocates. And I'm thinking, if Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus feel like I should be in there, I feel like I should be. I feel like I belong. And so that made me feel great. I've been to St. Andrews, done a show at St. Andrews. I've done a show at Augusta National for the members, and well over 3,000 other performances. And I I never thought I could make a career out of this. I was, in the beginning, I was just merely trying to cope with what I considered to be a hopeless situation, totally hopeless. And what I found out was I started hitting golf balls from my wheelchair, which was great to be hitting golf balls again, great for the practice tee, not so great for the course because I couldn't push the wheelchair all the way around.
Right.
But we came up with the idea to put a swivel seat on the passenger side of the golf cart, and that's what got me back on the course. And again, I never thought I could make a career out of it. I was just as rotten as I felt every place else. When I came to the golf course, I felt better.
Felt great. Yeah.
So I knew for me it was good physical therapy, mental therapy, emotional therapy, and I started on this career. Still never really thinking I could do much with it, but that was 42 years ago, 3.5 million miles, and well over 3,000 performances ago. So it's a very interesting journey I've had in this golf world, and I believe I've seen golf in a different way than almost any person. I mean, I've been to the best places in golf courses in America, the most famous places, and I've done shows in parking lots, baseball stadiums, any place you can think of. Just about, I've done a show, and so I have been a great observer of golf in America.
And of course, you're on YouTube. You have a big presence there with the video of your shows, and you've had some help on the shows with some partners. And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, the strongest partners I've had have been my family members, and my mom and my sister, as is often the case, don't get a lot of the credit, but they certainly were the backbone of my growing up and into my career. My mom was great, phenomenal, and my sister still works with me. She's great. She's had a big hand in a lot of the things I've done and the success I've had. My dad actually went with me on the road for 17 years, which was quite an experience because my dad was in the infantry in World War II and could do anything. My dad was amazing. And my dad's favorite quote was that he would be talking about himself and he'd say, I'm a stupid guy. I don't know how to spell can't. And that was drummed into our head from the time we were little. And most of the lessons I learned to fight this battle with paralysis came from my dad and the long talks we had in the van as we crisscrossed America for 17 years. And I've also had 4 dogs, all rescued from animal shelters or dog pounds. And I always say at every show, anyone looking for a dog or a cat, an animal shelter or rescue group is a great place to begin your search. And they've greatly enriched my life. They 3 of them have been service dogs, so I've never been apart from one of my dogs, where they can go anywhere I go, they go. And so they're just special creatures, and really have been a great positive for me.
And they're pretty smart.
All my dogs are smart, and I taught each one of them more tricks as I thought of different things to do, and they've all been great, really nice, and the bottom line is the coach is only as good as the players.
Right.
And my dog Bucky, the current one I have, I named him after my dad, and we just celebrated our 10th adoption anniversary in January 11th. And the dogs are the opening act in the show, and they, like Bucky, he can answer questions by barking out the answers. He's very good in math, general information, and golf trivia. So you ask him like 2 and 2, he'll bark 4 times. If you ask him what's the par on the 17th hole at Sawgrass, he'll bark 3 times, and so I just love having them with me, and they're a big part of my life.
And it's pretty amazing to watch them. I was watching the video, and I believe you asked him how many green jackets did Jack Nicklaus win, and he barked 6 times, and it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's a correct answer.
Yes.
And I was, yeah. I mean, I've done this. I've done this in front of Jack and Arnold Palmer, Tiger Woods, and a lot of Michael Jordan, and a lot of people have gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it, and they love it when he gets their record right. Like one time, Arnold Palmer was there, and I said, "How many times did Mr. Palmer win the Masters?" Okay, 4 barks. And I said, "How many times did I win the Masters?" And he looks at me like with a quizzical look on his face. He don't bark, you know. So I mean, it's great. It's great.
That's terrific. And
I was at the gym yesterday, and so Daniel Berger was there. He plays on the PGA Tour, and I said to Bucky, I said, "How many PGA Tour events did Daniel Berger win?" 2 barks. Daniel Berger loved it. He thought that was great, and so. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
Yes, it is. And you mentioned that Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player called you to let you know about the that you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame, or elected, I should say. Did you have any idea that you were in the final group to go in? And what was that feeling like when you got that phone call?
Well, the fellow who was in charge of the Hall of Fame at the time, Jack Peter, he called me on October the 4th, and he said, "Dennis, I'm just calling to let you know you're a finalist." And there are 14 people who have made it to the finals, and we're picking at the most 5 will get in. All right. So he says, "I'll call you next Tuesday," which was be October the 11th. So the whole time the whole week, I'm trying not to think about this, because I'm thinking I don't have much of a shot. I mean, there's some big names here, and half these people probably never even heard of me. And so, and I was trying not to think about it, but it's like if you tell someone, "Don't think of a pink elephant," the first thing they think of is a pink elephant. And I was losing sleep, and I was totally unprepared for a positive outcome. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't really prepared. However, the phone rang on October the 11th, right on the money, and I see it's this fella, Jack Peter. I pick up the phone. "Hi, Dennis, this is Jack Peter." And I'm thinking, okay, this is it. But immediately after that, "Hi, Dennis, this is Jack Nicklaus." Immediately after that, "Hi, Dennis, this is Gary Player." And in the short time it took them to say their names, I'm thinking, this has got to be good news. They're not going to call me up and say, "Hey, nice try." And so all in unison, the 3 of them said, "We're calling to let you know, Dennis, you've just been elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame." Wow. So I started crying. I mean, I just was unprepared for that.
Right.
And then they told me that they were advocates for me. They stood up for me in the 16-member final selection committee. And it's probably the best phone call I've ever gotten. And so when I stopped crying, I said to them, I said, "You two must have done some sales job on these other folks, the people from South Africa or Japan or Europe or Australia." I said, you must have done some sales job on these people, because I bet half of them never even heard of me. And so Jack Nicklaus said, "No, that's not true, Dennis." He said, "Every person there had heard of you." He said, "But when the 2 of us got done, they'd heard a heck of a lot more." So I saw Jack the other day, and I thanked him. He was out here at my golf course he was playing golf with Tiger Woods, his son Steve, and the President of the United States. And so I got to talk to Jack for a while and thank him, and got to talk to Tiger and reminisced about the 30 clinics we had done, and just congratulated him on his comeback that he's making and how well he's swinging the golf club. And I was lucky enough to talk to the President of the United States for a few minutes, and that was very good. I've met him on several occasions, but it was really nice to talk to them. And they all took pictures with me, and had a great day. And that was the second great day I had on last week. On Monday, they had gotten myself and the rest of my classmates who are going into the World Golf Hall of Fame, and we went up to St. Augustine, and we had a practice round. They gave us a private tour of the museum. We signed a bunch of flags and pictures, did about 7 TV and radio and newspaper interviews, and then we had a panel discussion. About 200 people showed up. They showed us where our lockers are going to be. They showed us where our bronze plaques are going to be, and they do it in alphabetical order. So I'm between Lanny Watkins and Tom Watson. So I'm kind of happy about that, since I know both of them and have played golf with them and stuff. So I'm happy about that.
Not too shabby company.
Well, one of my friends said, "No, Dennis," he said, "they're beside you."
There you go.
I said, "Well, we'll just leave it like that." So.
Well, you've had a lot of honors, and you've inspired millions of people across the globe, and you're one of 11 honorary lifetime members of the PGA of America. You were a spokesman and ambassador for the First Tee for a number of years. Bobby Jones Award, and now the ultimate award, the World Golf Hall of Fame, and it's just so fantastic to have you here. And I know you want to get to your practice, but I thank you so much for your time, and congratulations for making the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. And recently, I also got an interesting phone call from Steve Fail. He used to be the executive director of the New Jersey State Golf Association. He's retired now. And he called me up and he said, "Dennis, it's not the World Golf Hall of Fame." He said, "and I'm not Gary Player or Jack Nicklaus." He said, "but I'm calling up to let you know you've just been elected to the New Jersey State Golf Association Hall of Fame." And I said, "Wow, that's awesome."
That's terrific.
I said, I was born in Neptune. Now I live in Jupiter. I said, so I started my journey at the Jersey Shore, and to be recognized like that, going in with 8 other fantastic people, I said, wow, that's awesome. So 2018 and 2019 have been very kind to me so far, and I'm very grateful for all the nice things people have said about me. And I began this journey doing everything for myself, just trying to cope with what I consider to be a hopeless situation. But what happened was, I started to perform. I've been doing it so long, people sent me telegrams and letters, phone calls. Now it's emails, tweets, and Facebook and Instagram. But what happened was, they said that I was helping them. I was giving them hope, showing people what's possible in a seemingly impossible situation. And I was giving them an example and something to follow, and hope and inspiration. And I've come to believe that if you can give someone hope, encouragement, and inspiration, these are some of the greatest gifts you can give someone. So yes, I started doing this all for myself, but what happened was, I've had the opportunity through all these 42 years to, in some small way, positively influence others, and that's made it even better.
And that's what it's all about, and you've certainly done that, and so much more. I just want to congratulate you on these great honors that are coming your way. You deserve them. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today.
I appreciate that very much, and it was nice talking with you. Now I'm going to go practice because I want to get better.
Okay, thanks so much, Dennis. Take care.
All right, take care. Yes, sir. Bye now.
Sponsor an ad on the podcast. Support our show and let people know about your business. Email us today.
516-362-0443. That is the Talking Golf Hotline. If you've got a question, a comment, or want to leave a voicemail, say hi, That's the number to call, 516-362-0443. Or if you'd like to leave an email, you can email the show at talkinggolf@gmail.com. And thank you, me, for all of that great information. And if you notice below, the Twitter is Talk Golf Gary if you're watching on YouTube. So go check that out as well. I don't do a lot of twittering, tweeting, whatever. Not my thing. But there is an account there. So if you'd like to check it out. Got a little bit of different type of news this week that we don't see a lot of, but I thought I would mention it anyway. John Smoltz, the Hall of Fame pitcher, MLB Hall of Fame pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, in 2018, he qualified for the U.S. Senior Open. He missed the cut after shooting 85 and 77 on the first 2 days. There was talk of that time at that being his last chance after the poor showing of 85, but it looks like it isn't going to be the case. And just let me interject for a second. He shot an 85 and a 77 on a Senior Open USGA course. That's pretty good, I think. I mean, to me, I'd love to shoot that. And I get it, 85 is high for all of these people shooting 72 and everything. But 85 is pretty damn good for a guy that's not a touring pro, but he did qualify and he did shoot it. But he has received 3 exemptions for 2019 to play in different events on the Champions Tour. The first one he received is for March at the Cologuard Classic in Arizona. The second will be for the Mitsubishi Electric Classic in Atlanta in April. And the third exemption is for the American Family Insurance Championship in June in Wisconsin. And he said he checked the schedule and everything worked out, and that's why he took these particular tournaments. So good for him. Good for him. He loves the game, and he's a good golfer. I mean, played in the Senior Open, got it, missed the cut, but 85 and 77, not too shabby if you ask me.
Now it's time to do the calendar. Now it's time to do the calendar. Oh, hooray, let's sing the calendar. Now it's time to do the calendar.
All right, calendar coming up for next week. On the PGA Tour, we have the Genesis Open. Bubba Watson is defending there. And as we said earlier, Tiger Woods is the host. On the Champions Tour, they'll be playing the Chubb Classic, and Joe Durant is the defending champion at that event. On the European Tour, I should say, ISPS Honda World Super 6 in Perth, and Kiradech Afibonrat is the defending championship for that event. And the LPGA Tour is in also in Australia, and they're playing at the ISPS Honda Women's Australian Open. Jin Young Ko defends there. So that's the calendar for next week's action. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank my guest, Dennis Walters. Thank you, Dennis. Sorry about that brain lapse there. I want to thank my guest, Dennis Walters, who was kind enough to come on, and he's very busy with all the Hall of Fame stuff and keeping in shape for his exhibition. So thanks for taking some time and coming on. And I want to thank you all for listening. And don't forget, please subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, YouTube, or wherever you listen or watch the podcast. Hit the subscribe button. That helps me grow the show and expand to new listeners. And till next time, remember, As you walk down the fairway of life, you must smell the roses, for you only get to play one round. Have a great week. We'll see you again next time on Talking Golf with Gary.